Hello everyone and welcome to my recap of the news for the week of October 13th, 2025 from a different outlook. Let's start with some great news to cheer us up. The Supreme Court denied Alex Jones' request to block his $1.5 billion lawsuit because he doesn't want his InfoWars machine to fall into the hands of The Onion. Alex shouldn't worry. They will take good care of it, they will honor its legacy, and they will never say anything dumber than he would have, because that's impossible. If you're saying, Jeff, you're so mean, the guy lost everything. I'm sorry, but am I supposed to feel bad for a guy who diminished people's pain, the pain of losing their child, which is the worst pain people can go through? Remember, after Sandy Hook, he was saying those kids didn't die, that was all theater and that they were paid actors? It's called karma. C-A-R-M-A. Yes, with a C. That's how the girl who stole all my stuff spelled her name. Another good news, on Monday, we learned that Trump managed a peace treaty. Hey, gotta give credit where credit is due. It's only fair. Yes, 97% of his coverage is negative, but let's celebrate the 3% of positive. But I do have my doubts that we will soon know what was hidden in the small print of that deal, those that nobody read. Come on. You can't blame me for having doubts. This guy does not have a reputation for doing anything for free or out of the kindness of his soon-to-explode heart, because otherwise the government wouldn't be shut down and you would all have health care. Look, you might think Trump does things purely out of the kindness of his heart, such as helping his friend in Argentina. And here it is. Then, in a rare moment of clarity, the president mentioned he might not go to heaven. In his own words, I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. First, I don't know if he's in heaven while in Air Force One, but down here, sure feels like we're in hell. Second, I'll give it to him, he did make a lot of people's life better, but these people won't get into heaven either. So far, the people he helped the most are the richest, the 1% he made even richer, the pedophiles he's protecting, and the hate groups. The peace deal he managed this week might help his application to get in up there, but let me recommend him another step that will have a huge impact on his odds. Release the Epstein files. I'm convinced that would help him get into heaven, and while he's at it, he should undeclare Antifa a terrorist organization and call back the TMU stormtroopers. Just with that, he could do more good for the country in one day than he did in almost 5 years as president. On Tuesday, we had government officials lie saying the No Kings protesters are paid. First off, they're not paid, and if you really believe they're paid, stop whining, sign up, and get your imaginary Soros paycheck. The Republicans probably believe protesters are paid because they wouldn't do something for free simply out of the kindness of their heart because they have neither. People are not paid to be there. They protest because they have a First Amendment and a country they love. If the administration wants to complain that people have too much free time, which allows them to organize and protest, well, they only have themselves to blame. Government shutdown, job loss, DOGE cuts, tariffs, unregulated AI, all things that contribute to people having more free time because they lost their jobs. You can't be surprised they're protesting against the people responsible for them having so much free time, just like I shouldn't have been surprised when I ended up sleeping on the couch because I spent the rent money on Magic the Gathering cards after promising my partner I wouldn't do that anymore. It's called causality. Look it up. In another We Told You So event, we learned with no surprises whatsoever that the future of the Republican Party is full of racist, sexist, Hitler-loving 30-year-old kids. Why am I not surprised? Because it's Leadership 101 and Corporate Culture 101. It starts at the top. If you want to replace people in higher positions, you must embody the organization's core values, which these leaked messages prove the future of the party does embody the party's core values. They're not even ashamed of what they did. They're ashamed they got caught, just like when your dog pees in your bed. By the way, when your party leader praises Hitler, uses his playbook, the future of your party thinks minorities should be eliminated and make jokes about gas chambers, stop acting surprised when you are called Nazis. I hope people realize we should never let these people near power ever. Otherwise, just elect Bender At least he's honest and transparent about his plan. Then the most transparent administration ever wants medias with Pentagon access to sign an agreement so that any information to be published must first be approved. People with nothing to hide don't care about controlling the message. It's like saying, honey, I don't mind your parents coming over for dinner as long as they sign this NDA so that they don't report on the black eye I definitely did not give you. Nothing to hide, just normal behavior. At least the medias stood together and said no. Congratulations to these media outlets for finally finding their spine. Hey medias, you do realize that you fed the leopard who is now eating your face, right? If you actually stood up to the craziness and called their slow but not so subtle propaganda BS machine, instead of sane-washing their descent into the deepest levels of hell for the last 10 years, you wouldn't even be in this position right now. You can't ignore and sane-wash the neighborhood's arsonists and then cry when your house burns down. Speaking of hell, it must have froze over because even for now, Fox News refused this pledge to bootlicking. You know you push your luck too far when your former nut job club refuses to take you back because you went too nuts. It's like telling a joke that is so racist that even your racist uncle is like, hey, show some respect to these damn beep. For now, we still have freedom of the press, but we're getting closer to freed from the press. On Wednesday, there was a fundraising dinner at the White House for the ballroom with an interesting list of guests. Among them were representatives of Amazon, Lockheed Martin, Meta Platforms, oil billionaires, Blackstone CEO, and crypto entrepreneurs. So you know, people very well known for making the world a better place. By the way, am I the only one who thinks crypto entrepreneur sounds straight up from a dystopian nightmare written by ChatGPT? Look at them. In this room full of gold, some of the richest people on earth using their wealth extracted from the working people, gathering to trade favors, allegedly, with the most powerful person on earth for his vanity project, while the government is shut down and the peasants are struggling. See? That's why you shouldn't make art using generative AI. No generative AI could ever create a photo that represents so well, let them eat cake. I'll give it to you, I'm most likely biased, I'm most likely exaggerating. Maybe they're all there to find ways to make our lives better. I mean, we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, even if the book's cover is showing the most disconnected people on earth surrounded by gold. Although, no matter how you look at it, it still looks like the psych ward of the Arkham Asylum. After all, there is a clown with too much makeup giving a speech. If you saw my news recap from last week, link in the description, I mentioned passages from the Bible about the Antichrist in response to Peter Thiel's Unhinged conference. The Bible, speaking about the end of times, says, the white horse and rider represent 3.5 years of peace, followed by 3.5 years of war, represented by the bow. I was very confused about the bow, but now, see that photo of the president proudly showing his Lego model of what he wants to build called the Arc of Trump? Arc, A-R-C, is the French word for bow. Just saying. In economic news, we can read that strong bank earnings are pushing the S&P higher and that Wall Street biggest financiers say that the economy remains healthy. Here's another example of the economy doing great. Nothing cheers Wall Street more than people losing their jobs. But hey, they say the economy is healthy, they must know what they're talking about. Who cares if you can't pay rent and farmers are struggling? Not as if those farmers contribute to anything important for society like feeding us. It's much better to take that money and invest it in something more useful for society like energy-hungry, copyright-stealing, brain-numbing, useless generative AI because that's what people really need. Maybe our farmers will go bankrupt, but at least I can make a short video of a guinea pig riding a jet ski just before serving my family a nice 5-course meals of record profits. That should fill their bellies. I mean, if banks and people from Wall Street are saying the economy is doing great, I do not see any reason to not believe them. Not as if banks ever made record profit for making risky decisions to inflate the economy while ignoring the risk just before a bubble bursts, right? But hey, I'm sure they learned their lessons. There's no chance the government will bail out Wall Street this time. Not as if the biggest players in the economy are in the president's inner circle. Then there is the ongoing craziness of scare tactics used by the Republicans, saying that Antifa is somehow an evil organization that is heavily funded, as proven by their matching signs, as shown in this photo full of identical signs. Apparently, Antifa has matching outfits, which proves they are well-funded and hell-bent on violently destroy America. If you look at this photo closely, you only see a few people who are actually funded and have actual matching outfits. Here's a hint. They're the one with the guns. We now live in a world in which people in tactical gear storming the Capitol, beating police officers, and screaming about hanging the vice president are seen as peaceful tourists, and people in funny inflatable costumes doing funny dances are seen as the devil incarnated who will make you shit your pants. But tell me again about the tough and fearless Constitution-loving right. For an administration who likes to scream and shout about criminals and how important the rule of law is, maybe you should stop your boss from pardoning criminals, tourists, and ask him to stop pardoning his friends and to stop hiding the Epstein files. To finish this week's review, as if things were not screwed up enough this week, we learned that ChatGPT, on top of screwing the environment and screwing our brains, will also be just screwing us remotely. Yeah, don't adjust your screen. This right there is a real headline. Another industry getting wrecked by AI. Because writing your own deepest fantasy into a machine meant to keep your attention will surely help you make real connection with real people. Definitely a solution for the male loneliness epidemic. Humans need real human connection. Rich psychopath billionaires need you hooked on a hellish futuristic brain melting machine. But that won't make you happier. If you want to feel the connection, go out and talk to real people instead of talking to line of codes. Because when you have intercourse with ChatGPT, that's what you're really having intercourse with, which, let's be honest, we all did worse. Before dreaming on one hand to be busy and on the other hand to make your darkest fantasies part of the World Wide Web and most likely sending unwanted photos of your private parts, you should read their privacy policy. The world is a small place. You wouldn't want your fantasies and some parts of you to feed and inspire the same algorithm that will make your dad come. If you say, well, I can't talk to people because I'm awkward sometimes, we all are. Go outside and be your beautiful, awkward self. Humans do be awkward sometimes, and that's the beauty of human interactions. Just don't be creepy. Please learn the difference. The sad part is, this new dystopian nightmare will probably not be legislated, so this new service will have free reins to train based on whatever it finds on the web and spew whatever screwed up things it is asked, which on a humanity perspective makes me sick. But I can understand it from a business perspective. Now that a certain island is closed, there's a huge market of child exploitation up for grab, and billionaires never miss an exploitation opportunity. I mean, billionaires never miss a business opportunity. Whew, yeah, I'll have to edit that part out. I won't cover the most important part of the week, the No Kings protest themselves, because at time of recording, I still don't know if the peaceful frogs inspired the world or if a wannabe king blew up cities and then blamed Antifa for it to distract us from the closed island. I'm Jeff Rodrigue, signing out, wishing you the best. Thanks for watching. I love you all.